Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. Sometimes, the most valuable things in life are hiding in plain sight. They pass through our hands without notice, settle quietly in pockets, or get tossed into change jars and forgotten. Among them is a coin that most people have seen thousands of times, perhaps never realizing the secret it could hold. The Jefferson nickel, simple, sturdy, reliable, has been a backbone of American pocket change since 1938. But in the year 1985, something extraordinary happened. Hidden among the millions of nickels struck that year were a few rare specimens that, under the right conditions, became not just collector's items but prized treasures worth tens of thousands of dollars. And one of them? It has been valued at an unbelievable $70,000. To truly understand the 1985 Jefferson nickel and why some versions of it have become legendary, we need to step back and appreciate the full story of this coin. The Jefferson nickel was introduced during a time of transition in American history. The year was 1938. The country was emerging from the Great Depression, and the Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913, was being retired. In its place came a new design, a tribute to one of America's most influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. Known not only as the third President of the United States, but also the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson represented enlightenment, progress, and enduring ideals. Felix Schlag was the designer chosen to immortalize Jefferson's legacy on the 5-cent coin. His design featured Jefferson's left-facing portrait on the obverse and a depiction of his beloved Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. Unlike the dramatic and bold imagery of previous coinage, Schlag's design was subtle and refined. Over the decades, that design would be slightly modified but would remain largely intact until the Westward Journey series in 2004. Through wars, recessions, and massive social changes, the Jefferson nickel remained a constant, a quiet presence in the American economy. By 1985, the nickel had been in circulation for nearly 5 decades, and it continued to be struck at the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver. That year, over 1 billion nickels were produced, most of them used in everyday transactions and forgotten. But hidden within those billions were a few coins that would go on to captivate collectors. What makes the 1985 nickel so intriguing isn't just its history, but the possibility that something unusual, something nearly undetectable to the untrained eye, occurred during the minting process. In a production run that large, even the tiniest error can produce a small number of coins that are remarkably different from the rest. These coins are the anomalies, accidental masterpieces. In the case of the 1985 nickel, collectors have discovered versions with doubling, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and other minting defects. But more than that, a few of these coins have survived in extraordinary condition, brilliant, uncirculated, untouched by the wear and tear that strips most coins of their sharpness and shine. These coins are incredibly rare. Coin grading plays a critical role in determining the value of a 1985 nickel. Most nickels from that year are heavily worn, with smooth details and dull surfaces. But a few have been preserved in nearly perfect condition. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC assess these coins using a 70-point scale, where MS, mint state, designations are given to coins that never entered circulation. An MS-65 or MS-66 1985 nickel might already be a rare find. But an MS-67 or MS-68? That's exceptionally rare, and the few known examples have generated huge excitement in numismatic circles. Some of the most valuable 1985 nickels come from the Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins without a mint mark at the time. Ironically, this lack of a mint mark is one of the features that makes it harder to distinguish valuable pieces, meaning collectors need to rely heavily on condition and error detection to identify the real gems. Coins with full steps, meaning the steps on Monticello are fully visible and sharply struck, are especially desirable. These full-step coins indicate an especially clean and strong strike from the mint, and are significantly more valuable than standard versions. But it's not just era coins and pristine strikes that draw collector interest. There's a sense of mystery and nostalgia that surrounds the 1985 Jefferson nickel. It was a time before major digital transformation, when coin collecting was still a hands-on, tangible experience. Kids searched through rolls of change, parents passed down coffee cans full of coins, and hobby shops were bustling with collectors sharing knowledge. And now, all these years later, the coins from that era, especially the ones that were overlooked, are finally being re-examined with fresh eyes, new technology, and deeper appreciation. One such coin, a 1985 Jefferson nickel in immaculate mint state condition with full steps and flawless luster, caused a stir when it hit the auction block. It had all the hallmarks of rarity, perfect preservation, sharp detail, and a pedigree of authenticity. It was exactly the kind of coin collectors dream of finding, not flashy, not loud, but pure, clean, and rare. That coin eventually sold for an astonishing $70,000, shocking even seasoned collectors and dealers. How could a coin worth 5 cents become so valuable? The answer lies in scarcity, condition, history, and passion. This is the heart of coin collecting. It's not just about money. It's about the thrill of the hunt. It's about uncovering history in the most unexpected places. And it's about learning that even something as ordinary as a nickel can carry an extraordinary story. The 1985 Jefferson nickel represents a rare moment when everything aligned, a perfect strike, a preserved surface, and an era of transition all captured in metal. So the next time you come across a nickel, pause for a moment. Look at the year. Study the details. You might see Monticello's steps more clearly than expected. You might notice something slightly off about the date, or the way Jefferson's eye is shaped. You might be holding a treasure without even knowing it, because tucked away in pockets and drawers, hidden inside coin rolls and forgotten collections, there are still 1985 Jefferson nickels out there, quietly waiting to be found. And one of them might just be worth $70,000. Top 2. Coins, especially those as familiar as the 5-cent piece, often don't get the attention they deserve. They're the kind of currency we rarely pause to appreciate, pocketed, spent, and forgotten. Yet, some of these seemingly insignificant coins, through history's twists and turns, become the very things that spark incredible discoveries, uncover hidden treasures, and lead to the kind of finds that can change a person's life. One such coin is the 1986 Jefferson nickel, a simple piece of currency that could be worth a staggering $66,000 today. To understand how a coin like the 1986 Jefferson nickel can transform from just 5 cents into a treasure trove of value, we must look back. The story of this nickel began long before 1986, during an era when American coinage was defined by change. It all started in 1938, when the U.S. Mint made a monumental decision. The time had come for a new nickel design. The old buffalo design, iconic and widely loved, was replaced with a new image, a tribute to the nation's third president, Thomas Jefferson. The coin was designed by artist Felix Schlag, and the new design would go on to become one of the longest running in U.S. history. The Jefferson nickel, as it was now known, was initially produced in a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a mix that would endure until the 1940s. The design, a profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, front, side of the coin, symbolized the lasting legacy of the Founding Fathers. On the reverse side, the famous Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia plantation, was depicted. The simple elegance of the design would make the Jefferson nickel an enduring symbol of America's commitment to both its heritage and its future. However, over time, minor adjustments were made to the coin's design and composition, including the transition to a copper-nickel clad structure in 1965 as part of broader changes to U.S. coinage. This new nickel, consisting of a core of pure nickel with copper layers on both sides, was made to meet the challenges of a coinage system that was increasingly costly due to rising metal prices. This transition would lead us to the 1980s, a decade that would hold a turning point for both the country and the coinage in circulation. In 1986, the U.S. Mint released a new batch of Jefferson nickels. On the surface, these coins looked much like those minted in previous years. Thomas Jefferson's image, with his characteristic stoic expression, was still gracing the obverse of the coin. Monticello remained proudly etched into the reverse, with its architectural features standing as a symbol of Jefferson's dedication to democracy and knowledge. It appeared to be a coin like any other. However, the world of numismatics, coin collecting, has always been filled with surprises, and small errors, variations, and rare circumstances could make a coin far more valuable than its face value. With the 1986 Jefferson nickel, certain minting errors and condition issues have created one of the most exciting and profitable coins of the 20th century. Over time, numismatists, coin collectors, and experts began noticing something unusual about certain 1986 nickels, and those who were paying attention realized just how much value lay in these seemingly ordinary coins. Let's start with the design. Despite its simplicity, the Jefferson nickel is a coin that has seen numerous iterations throughout its lifetime. Some years have featured slight changes to the design details, while others experienced significant shifts. For instance, in 2004, the U.S. Mint released a new series of Jefferson nickels with a reverse design featuring a more modern view of Monticello, commemorating the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. But the 1986 nickel, while not quite as revolutionary as the coins that would come after it, was crucial for a different reason. As with most coins, the Jefferson nickel was subject to the wear and tear of mass production. While most nickels struck in 1986 were produced with standard precision, a select few featured distinct minting errors. One of the most notable mistakes was a double die variety, a feature that happens when the coin is struck by the same die twice, slightly off-center, resulting in blurred or duplicated details. This type of error can make a coin exceedingly rare, and therefore, highly desirable to collectors. In addition to the double die error, other variations of the 1986 Jefferson nickel have been identified, including off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. These mistakes are far less common in the mass production of coins, yet they hold significant value to collectors who specialize in finding rare and unusual pieces. It's not just about collecting the coin, it's about collecting the story, the piece of history that comes with the error, the rarity, and the details that make these coins so captivating. But perhaps the most compelling factor that drives the value of the 1986 Jefferson nickel is its condition. In the world of coin collecting, a coin's condition is everything. Coins that have been kept in pristine, untouched condition, especially those that have never been in circulation, are worth much more than those that have passed through countless hands, becoming scratched, worn, or tarnished over time. The grading system used by professional coin grading services such as the PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, assigns a grade to each coin based on its level of preservation. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with a perfect coin receiving a grade of MS 70, mint state 70. In comparison, coins with heavy wear may receive a grade as low as AG 3, about good 3. A perfectly preserved 1986 Jefferson nickel, an MS 67 or higher, could attract significant attention in the numismatic community. Collectors eagerly seek these near-perfect coins, and when one comes up for sale, especially one with a known error, auction prices can skyrocket. The value of an MS 67 or higher grade 1986 Jefferson nickel can reach several $1,000s, and those with specific errors, such as the double die or off-center strikes, can be even more valuable. Now, the most exciting revelation of all, one that might sound hard to believe, yet is completely true, is the discovery of a 1986 Jefferson nickel that fetched a mind-blowing $66,000 at auction. This wasn't an ordinary nickel. It was a near-perfect specimen, graded MS 68, with an incredibly rare minting flaw, a double-dyed verse, where the details of Jefferson's profile were clearly duplicated. This coin, one of only a handful known to exist, stunned the coin collecting community when it was sold, and it became one of the highest priced nickels ever to change hands. The story of this $66,000 nickel is the story of how ordinary coins, hidden in drawers, jars, and change jars, can turn into priceless treasures. It's a story of how a small mistake, a double strike, an off-center hit, or a minting flaw, can transform a 5-cent coin into an object of incredible value. In a world where everyone is chasing the rarest and most expensive coins, the 1986 Jefferson nickel reminds us that sometimes, the best discoveries come when we least expect them. What's even more remarkable is that the world of coin collecting isn't just about finding rarities. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of uncovering something hidden, and the satisfaction of knowing that something as ordinary as a nickel can have such an extraordinary story. Coins like the 1986 Jefferson nickel continue to inspire collectors worldwide, encouraging them to look at each coin not just as pocket change, but as a potential piece of history, and maybe, just maybe, a treasure worth far more than its face value. So the next time you reach into your pocket, purse, or coin jar, don't be too quick to dismiss the nickel. It could be more than just a 5-cent coin. It could be worth a life-changing $66,000. Top 3. Coins are often more than just a form of currency. They're windows into the past, pieces of history, and sometimes, they carry stories that surprise even the most seasoned collectors. Take, for instance, the humble Jefferson nickel. It's a coin most people encounter daily, a simple 5-cent piece that doesn't seem to hold much intrigue at first glance. However, hidden among the millions of nickels minted each year, there are a few that are far from ordinary. Some hold value far beyond their face value, and the 1990 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins. In fact, some rare 1990 Jefferson nickels are now worth an astonishing $50,000. But how could a simple nickel, a coin worth just 5 cents, possibly reach such a lofty price? To understand how this particular coin could command such a hefty price, we have to take a journey back through the history of American coinage. The Jefferson nickel itself has a storied legacy. First introduced in 1938, the coin was designed by Felix Schlag and replaced the iconic Buffalo nickel, which had graced U.S. currency for decades. The new design featured the profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse, front, side, and a depiction of his home, Monticello, on the reverse. Jefferson was a founding father, a visionary, and a symbol of American values like liberty and democracy, and placing his image on the nickel cemented the coin as a representation of those ideals. Since its introduction, the Jefferson nickel has undergone only minor design changes. The most notable shift occurred in 2004 when the U.S. Mint commemorated the bicentennial of the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark's expedition by redesigning the reverse. But the 1990 Jefferson nickel, a coin that had been part of a long-standing series, remained largely unchanged from its 1938 debut. By 1990, the Jefferson nickel had been in circulation for over half a century, and it had become a staple of everyday life. It's easy to forget that coins like these are part of an ongoing story, continuously minted and exchanged as part of the currency system, until the right moment comes when a coin is noticed, and its rarity or significance comes to light. In 1990, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Jefferson nickels for circulation, and at first glance, they appear just like the nickels that had come before them. On the obverse, we see Jefferson's familiar profile, his face poised in calm reflection, looking toward the future. The words, "In God We Trust," are inscribed above, while "Liberty" curves around the left side. The year of mintage, 1990, sits just to the right of Jefferson's bust, and beneath it, we see the mint mark, which could either be P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco. On the reverse side, Monticello, the neoclassical house Jefferson designed, is depicted in all its grandeur, a symbol of his belief in architecture and education as pillars of democracy. However, despite its familiarity, the 1990 Jefferson nickel holds more than meets the eye. Over the years, collectors and numismatists, the experts who study coins, have come to realize that a small number of these seemingly ordinary coins were struck with notable errors that could make them worth far more than their 5-cent face value. These errors are the secret that holds the key to the rare and highly coveted 1990 Jefferson nickels that have sold for astronomical sums. As with any coinage, the production process is far from flawless. Mistakes happen. In the case of the 1990 Jefferson nickel, a few key error types have been discovered, and these errors have made certain coins extraordinarily valuable. One of the most sought-after varieties is the double die error. This occurs when a coin is struck by the same die more than once, but not exactly in the same position. The result is a coin where certain details, like the text or images, appear slightly doubled or blurred. This gives the coin a unique look, almost as if it has two faces, making it an instant eye-catcher for collectors. When it comes to Jefferson nickels, these double die varieties have become some of the most prized examples, as they are so rare and visually distinctive. The 1990 Jefferson nickel was not immune to such errors. Some coins were struck with an imperfect die, leading to a double die obverse or even a double die reverse. These coins are incredibly rare and have become the target of collectors seeking out coins with noticeable, distinctive errors. In fact, one of these double die varieties from 1990 was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $50,000, a price that defies the expectations for such an ordinary coin. But what exactly makes a coin like the 1990 Jefferson nickel worth such a large sum of money? It's the rarity, the quality of the coin, and most importantly, its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1, poor condition, to 70, perfect condition. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition, with no visible wear or marks, are given higher grades and are therefore worth more. AMS 67, Mint State 67, or higher grade 1990 Jefferson nickel, in perfect condition and with no signs of circulation, is an especially rare find. When combined with an error, such as the double die, the coin becomes even more valuable. But the story doesn't end with just the double die. Some 1990 Jefferson nickels have been found with other unique characteristics: off-center strikes, where the coin was misaligned during production, or clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge was missing when it was struck. These kinds of errors are often overlooked by the general public but can be highly prized by numismatists who know how to spot them. In fact, finding a well-preserved 1990 Jefferson nickel with one of these errors could mean turning a simple 5-cent coin into a treasure worth thousands of dollars. And of course, it's not just the error coins that have collector appeal. Even in perfect, uncirculated condition, regular 1990 Jefferson nickels can be worth more than their face value to collectors who specialize in finding high-quality examples of the coin. The demand for coins like the 1990 Jefferson nickel is part of a larger trend in the world of numismatics, where modern coins, once thought to be of little value, are now being recognized as valuable pieces of history. One of the most exciting parts of coin collecting is the thrill of the hunt, the search for that one elusive coin that could hold extraordinary value. It's the idea that somewhere, among the millions of coins minted each year, there's a rare gem just waiting to be discovered. The 1990 Jefferson nickel has become one of those hidden treasures, and for the lucky collector who finds a perfect specimen, or a rare minting error, the payoff can be truly life-changing. Imagine holding in your hand a Jefferson nickel worth $50,000, a coin that was once worth only 5 cents, now commanding attention from coin enthusiasts, investors, and collectors worldwide. But how does one find such a coin? It's not always easy. Most of these rare 1990 Jefferson nickels are discovered through auctions, estate sales, or even personal collections. Some are found by chance, hidden among change that's been tucked away for years, or in boxes of coins that have sat forgotten in drawers. The key is knowledge. Collectors who are well versed in identifying minting errors and understanding the grading system are the ones who have the best chance of finding these hidden gems. So, the next time you reach into your pocket and pull out a nickel, take a moment to look at it. You might just be holding a piece of history, a coin that, through a combination of chance, error, and perfect preservation, could be worth far more than its 5-cent value. The 1990 Jefferson nickel might seem ordinary at first glance, but within its simple design lies a world of potential, one that has captivated collectors and led to extraordinary finds worth up to $50,000. Top 4. In the world of numismatics, it's often the most unexpected coins that rise to prominence. The 1993 Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of this phenomenon. At first glance, this coin might appear just like any other nickel, simple, unremarkable, and often tossed aside without a second thought. However, for a select group of collectors, the 1993 Jefferson nickel is anything but ordinary. In fact, there are some versions of this coin that are worth an eye-popping $42,000, a far cry from the mere 5-cent value most of us are familiar with. The story of the 1993 Jefferson nickel is one that begins with a legacy, a long history of American coinage, and a few small but significant changes in the minting process. But how does a coin so familiar to the public transform into something of such high value? To understand this, we need to first take a step back in time. The Jefferson nickel has been a cornerstone of American currency since 1938. Its design, created by artist Felix Schlag, was meant to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. Jefferson, known for his role in shaping the nation's ideals and his love for science and exploration, was the perfect figure to grace the 5-cent piece. His image was paired with a depiction of his estate, Monticello, on the reverse side of the coin. This design, simple yet full of historical weight, became the standard for the Jefferson nickel, and it remained largely unchanged for decades. The Jefferson nickel, originally made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, went through various changes over the years, with the most notable shift being the coin's composition change in 1965 to a copper-nickel clad structure. This alteration, aimed at reducing the cost of minting, would affect the way coins were struck in the future. Despite these changes, the design of the Jefferson nickel remained consistent until the late 1990s, when new designs were introduced to commemorate the nation's history and significant events like the bicentennial of the Louisiana Purchase and the Lewis and Clark Expedition. But the 1993 Jefferson nickel was part of a different era, an era in which the minting process was becoming more automated, yet still subject to occasional imperfections. As with all coins, the process was a combination of precision and human error, and sometimes, those errors led to extraordinary finds that caught the attention of collectors. The 1993 Jefferson nickel, unlike its predecessors, was minted with a combination of factors that made certain examples far rarer and more valuable. This particular year of coinage, while produced in large quantities, contained subtle errors and minting variations that would later make it one of the most sought-after pieces in modern numismatics. For starters, let's examine the basic design of the 1993 Jefferson nickel. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the familiar bust of Thomas Jefferson, his profile set against the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." The year of minting, 1993, appears just below Jefferson's likeness. It's a straightforward design, one that has been with us for decades and one that has become iconic in American numismatics. The reverse features the image of Monticello, Jefferson's grand estate in Virginia. The words, "E pluribus unum," out of many 1 and 5 cents, are inscribed around the building, and the mint mark either P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco, is located beneath the depiction of Monticello. This design, which had been in use since 1938, is one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. But while the coin's design was familiar, there were still small changes in production methods, and it was during this time that the 1993 Jefferson nickel began to take on a unique role in the world of coin collecting. The key to understanding the allure of the 1993 Jefferson nickel lies in minting errors, and there were several types that appeared in this year's production. Coins that feature minting errors are often far rarer than their flawless counterparts. These errors make coins stand out, and for collectors, they present an opportunity to own something one-of-a-kind. One of the most valuable variations of the 1993 Jefferson nickel involves double die errors. A double die error occurs when a coin is struck multiple times with the same die, but the second strike is misaligned. This results in the blurring or doubling of the design, especially in the text and the image of Thomas Jefferson. In some cases, the double die errors of 1993 can be clearly seen in the words, "Liberty," and "In God We Trust." Where the letters appear to overlap or duplicate slightly, it's these subtle imperfections, tiny flaws in the coin's production, that caused the value of the 1993 Jefferson nickel to soar. In fact, when a double die error is found in a coin that is in excellent condition, it can be worth thousands of dollars. A perfectly graded coin with one of these rare errors can fetch prices upwards of $42,000 at auction. This kind of error, while seemingly small, can be the difference between a coin that's worth 5 cents and one that's worth a fortune. But minting errors aren't the only factor that adds value to the 1993 Jefferson nickel. The condition of the coin is also incredibly important. Grading is the process by which coins are evaluated based on their preservation and quality. Coins that have been well preserved, with no signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration, are considered more valuable. A coin that has been kept in mint condition, free from the usual circulation marks, can earn a high grade, which in turn increases its value. AMS 67 or higher graded 1993 Jefferson nickel, particularly one with a double die error, is considered a rare find. And for collectors willing to pay top dollar for a pristine example, this coin represents not just a piece of currency, but a rare and valuable piece of history. So, how did a nickel, a coin that typically holds only a 5-cent value, become so valuable in the numismatic world? It's the combination of rarity, design errors, and condition that creates the allure. Collectors are always on the lookout for that one coin, a coin that has been produced in limited numbers, struck with errors, and most importantly, preserved in nearly flawless condition. The 1993 Jefferson nickel fits all of these criteria, and as a result, it has become a coveted prize among coin collectors. What's more, the market for rare coins is growing. With more and more people discovering the world of numismatics and realizing the value of coins like the 1993 Jefferson nickel, prices for these rare pieces continue to climb. The demand for high-quality, error-struck coins is stronger than ever, and it's not just about owning a coin, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovering a hidden treasure, and the satisfaction of holding in your hand a coin that is worth far more than its face value. The discovery of a 1993 Jefferson nickel in pristine condition, with an error like a double die or off-center strike, is a story that continues to unfold in the world of coin collecting. These coins are more than just objects of monetary value, they are pieces of history, small snapshots of a time gone by, and reminders of the imperfections that can lead to something extraordinary. And so, the next time you reach into your pocket, purse, or coin jar, don't be too quick to dismiss that nickel. It could be more than just a 5-cent coin. It could be a $42,000 treasure, a rare gem waiting to be uncovered. The world of numismatics is full of surprises, and sometimes, it's the most unexpected coins that carry the greatest rewards. Top 5. When you think about coins, the first things that come to mind might be shiny pennies, quarters with commemorative designs, or those occasional oddities you find in your spare change jar. But if you're someone who has ever looked more closely at coins, you may already know that certain pennies, dimes, and nickels hold stories far more interesting than their face value suggests. Take, for instance, the 1996 Jefferson nickel. A coin many would dismiss as just another modern nickel, this unassuming 5-cent piece actually carries a fascinating history and some incredible value, especially in the right condition. It's easy to overlook a nickel. After all, it's just 5 cents, right? Yet, in the world of numismatics, coin collecting, coins like the 1996 Jefferson nickel have become sought-after treasures. Some examples of this nickel are now worth as much as $36,000, an incredible leap from its modest face value. But how does a simple coin like the 1996 Jefferson nickel go from being worth only 5 cents to a value that could potentially change your life? To understand the allure of the 1996 Jefferson nickel, we have to first take a step back in time to see the history of the Jefferson nickel itself, the design evolution, and the minting details that eventually gave birth to the coin that would make waves in the numismatic world years later. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, a German-born artist who won a national competition to design a new 5-cent coin. His design, which features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, was meant to honor Jefferson's legacy, particularly his role as the principal author of the Declaration of Independence and his work as a visionary of American democracy. On the reverse of the coin, we see Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, which also served as his architectural masterpiece. The Jefferson nickel would go on to become one of the most enduring designs in American coinage. The coin underwent very few changes throughout the years, making it a hallmark of consistency. But it was in 1996 that we saw the minting of a coin that would become a rarity, the 1996 Jefferson nickel. By 1996, the coin had already been in circulation for decades. The design of Jefferson's profile and Monticello on the reverse side had remained consistent since 1938, which meant that for anyone who used or saw a nickel on a daily basis, the design was as familiar as the currency itself. It had become part of everyday life. However, that year, something changed in the way the coin was produced that would set certain 1996 Jefferson nickels apart. The minting process for the 1996 Jefferson nickel followed the same procedure as previous years, with coins struck at the U.S. Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver. As with all U.S. coins, the nickels were produced using a combination of copper and nickel alloy to create the characteristic clad finish. But just like with other years, minor errors and anomalies can sometimes sneak into the process, and that's where the story of the 1996 Jefferson nickel becomes truly intriguing. Among the many coins minted that year, a small number contained minting errors that would prove to be incredibly rare. Minting errors are a fascinating and highly sought-after aspect of coin collecting. These errors occur when a coin is struck in a way that deviates from the intended design, often due to misalignment of dies, incorrect planchets, or worn-out equipment. These errors often result in misprinted images, off-center strikes, or double die marks, each of which can make a coin highly valuable to collectors. In the case of the 1996 Jefferson nickel, there were several notable errors that contributed to the coin's future worth. One of the most interesting errors to appear was the double die obverse. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the image to be printed twice, slightly off-center. The result? A coin that appears to have doubling in certain parts of the design, especially the text. On a typical double die obverse 1996 Jefferson nickel, the most common places where the error shows up are in the words, Liberty, and In God We Trust. For collectors, these double die varieties are one of the rarest and most valuable forms of the coin. Additionally, a few 1996 nickels were struck with off-center errors. These coins were not properly aligned during the striking process, causing portions of the coin's design to be cut off, leaving an incomplete image. This kind of error is particularly desirable because of its uniqueness and the fact that off-center coins are often produced in very small numbers. Some off-center 1996 Jefferson nickels have been sold for thousands of dollars, and when combined with other features such as perfect condition or a rare mint mark, their value skyrockets. But it's not just minting errors that make the 1996 Jefferson nickel valuable. The condition of the coin also plays a crucial role in determining its worth. Coins that have been well preserved, without scratches, discoloration, or other forms of damage, are much more valuable than those that have been in circulation for years. In the world of coin collecting, a coin in mint condition is an incredibly prized possession. A 1996 Jefferson nickel that is graded as MS67, mint state 67, with no visible wear or imperfections, can command a price far beyond its face value, even if it doesn't have any errors. For a coin like the 1996 Jefferson nickel, grading is essential. Coins are assessed based on their quality, detail, and the preservation of their design elements. A coin that has been kept in pristine condition, carefully stored away from wear and tear, stands a much better chance of achieving a high grade, and therefore, a higher price when it's eventually sold. Collectors with a keen eye for quality and knowledge of grading can identify these coins and pay top dollar for them, knowing the value they hold in the marketplace. So, how did a simple 1996 Jefferson nickel end up worth $36,000? Well, a combination of rarity, minting errors, and perfect preservation has made certain examples of the coin extremely valuable. While most 1996 Jefferson nickels may be worth only a few cents, coins that feature significant errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or coins that have been meticulously preserved, have become highly coveted by numismatists. And when these rare finds are sold at auction, the bids can rise to staggering amounts. The true appeal of the 1996 Jefferson nickel lies in its history. While it might appear just like any other nickel you encounter, it represents a fascinating intersection of chance, craftsmanship, and rarity. Collectors understand the value of these small, often overlooked coins. They recognize that some coins, like the 1996 Jefferson nickel, are not just pieces of currency, they are pieces of history, waiting to be discovered, appreciated, and passed down for future generations. For collectors, finding a 1996 Jefferson nickel with a rare minting error or in impeccable condition is akin to finding a diamond in the rough. And for those lucky enough to stumble upon one of these rarities, it can mean a substantial financial windfall. The world of coin collecting is full of hidden treasures, and the 1996 Jefferson nickel is just one example of a coin that can turn a casual collector into an investor. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable items are the ones you least expect. As for those coins that have sold for as much as $36,000, they are a testament to the power of rarity and collectible value in the world of numismatics. And while these coins are not easy to find, they continue to hold immense appeal for anyone passionate about collecting and preserving history. The next time you handle a Jefferson nickel, think about the possibility of hidden treasures within that small coin. The 1996 Jefferson nickel is just one example of how the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, an ordinary 5-cent piece transformed into something extraordinary, all because of a little bit of luck and a lot of careful attention to detail.